let's start with the big question. You're on Bloomberg TV. Our boss is running against you.
I've heard that.
You've heard that? You may have heard that. So have we. From what I've read in the reports, he's spending perhaps more than all of the other candidates combined on TV ads. I think maybe with the exception of the other billionaire in the race, Tom Steyer. How much is this for you evidence of the need for a wealth tax?
So it's about the need for a wealth tax, but it's a bigger picture as I see it. Look, I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism, but markets without rules are theft. And part of those rules are that everybody's supposed to pay a fair share on taxes, right, so we can reinvest it in opportunity for all of our kids. And that's what a 2-cent wealth tax is about for me. So the short version of the wealth tax is this. Your first $50 million of accumulated wealth, free and clear, but your 50 millionth and first dollar, you got to pitch in 2 cents, and 2 cents for every dollar after that. When you hit $1 billion, it goes to 3 cents.
Now, you say you're a capitalist. There are numerous people, probably many Bloomberg TV viewers, who suspect otherwise. And there is a parade of billionaires who say, oh, if Elizabeth Warren is elected president, the stock market is going to plunge 25%. I don't put a lot of weight on those predictions. That being said, I'm curious, under a Warren administration, would the performance of the stock market be something you cared about?
Look, what I care about is an economy that works not just for the billionaires and millionaires, but an economy that works for everyone. Look at what's happened in America. Stock market goes up, GDP goes up, unemployment is low. But what's happening to working families across this country? It's been a generation, and there's been very little growth in income. But at the same time, families are squeezed for housing, for health care, child care, the cost of sending a kid to school. Those are all through the roof. So families take on more and more debt. They're squeezed harder and harder. And by the way, that's part of why I want to see a wealth tax, because it's what we can do with that wealth tax, how we can invest in an entire generation of young Americans.
A technical question about the wealth tax that often comes up is that there are several billionaires or people with over $50 million who have their money, a big part of it, tied up in a liquid private stock. I always see people in Silicon Valley talking about this with the wealth tax. And again, it applies to one of your rivals, our owner here. How do you levy a wealth tax of 2% or 6% against someone whose wealth is tied up in a private share?
Well, you can levy it. You can give them time on how the collection works over a period of time. But it doesn't mean you get to just say, hey, I don't have to pay anything, because it would be a problem for me to have to sell off some of my stock. Look, it's a problem maybe for everybody else, but keep this in mind. The 99% in America, they pay 7.2% of their total wealth in taxes. The top 1/10%, that is people that would be affected by the wealth tax, they're paying 3.2% of their total wealth in taxes. So my view is asking them to pay 2 cents more means they're still not carrying a fair share. This is, for me, about not just numbers, but values. That 2 cents that people are using to continue on these huge fortunes, to continue to grow those fortunes. And what are those fortunes growing at? I don't know, 6%, 8%, 10%? Just means they may not grow as fast. You put that 2% investment in America, in a whole generation, that's universal child care for every kid. It's universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old. It's raised the wages of every child care worker in America. It's $800 billion into our public schools, a federal commitment. It's about making technical school, 2-year college, 4-year college tuition free. It's $50 billion for historically black colleges and universities. And it's canceling student loan debt for 43 million Americans. That's an investment in an entire generation.